Here we go, Wrestling Conservative Podcast, episode 825. This is the 2024 Royal Rumble recap episode. I'm going to just go ahead and filter as little as possible. There's a whole lot I get out of this that when we're looking at the overall picture now going on to WrestleMania, so Bayley will most likely take on Rhea Ripley for her world title, and then Cody goes back for another shot at Roman Reigns. But with Roman Reigns, The Rock is going to get in the way, and we have to figure out what's going to happen with The Rock and Cody. Who's going to step to the front of the line first? Cody is entitled to a title shot. Rock just wants to jump in and get his shot. No, if that's the case, does Roman and Rock need the belt to make that match significant? You can say either way. For me, it could be either way. Because you could go ahead and just have it where Cody takes the belt, and then on the way down, Rock takes Roman in another defeat, and then Roman goes away. You could do that. I mean, that storyline where that dominance for 1,245 days and then a complete collapse of the bloodline, you can do that part. You don't have anything else that goes with it. But honestly, the bloodline, we got to go ahead and dissipate that. And maybe it's time to let Solo Sikoa get the spotlight going forward. But that reveals a lot right there, just for the very top of what we had. So CM Punk comes in. He, Gunther, Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, the last four names in the Rumble match. And Drew looks strong here, but again, turning the heel, and I don't see them going back to him in a championship program yet. Maybe he will go on to take on Seth Rollins. That will be the eventual opponent. But Seth Rollins has no one right now to look at in his purview, and you could do Drew and Seth going forward for the World Heavyweight title, I guess. Or CM Punk goes after Seth Rollins. Like, it's one of those, the other. But now we know that CM Punk is not going to get a shot against Roman Reigns. They made that point here where CM Punk comes back into the Rumble and Cody wins again. And they make the record holding for Cody Rhodes to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles. The storyline, they don't want to give it to him last year, so they're going to try to pull the trigger on him this year. Because if you're going to let him go a second route, it wouldn't make sense for him to go ahead and lose again to Roman Reigns. We've heard finish the story. Let's finish the story. And I think that's where the path goes. I just don't know what you do with The Rock. Where does The Rock fit into all this? We got to figure that out. He has to come back out, and things have to get straightened out with this. Plus, we don't know what the Elimination Chamber is going to do. Going to create when they go to Saudi Arabia. That's in 4 weeks. So, if we got Cody all right, Cody and Roman 2 and Seth and Drew take on each other, or it's Seth and CM Punk, I guess. I mean, for CM Punk to go and come on back after all the pomp and circumstance from late last year, and he comes into the Royal Rumble, has a good run in it, and loses. And yeah, it was also a late entrance, by the way. But yeah, they just decided to go there, and it's like, all right, they didn't go much farther than that. So what are we going to do next with them? Like, what is next? Hey, glad to have him back, but we obviously see that they're not making a big deal about him coming in here and saying, okay, well, we need to go ahead and make it where he's going to get pushed back to the top. It doesn't look like that at all. Look, I mean, the way CM Punk looks right now, 27th entrant. He was made to look like a main event star, but he's not going to be at the top of the card. They're not looking at him that way at all. Not right now anyway. So if they choose that route, what's next for him? Like, we don't have an answer for that. Because now we're looking at CM Punk coming back, and it's almost like he hasn't lost his spot. He's exactly in the same place he was when he left. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Because I feel like that's where he is. Was this what the fans thought he was going to be doing, right? And what about all this right here with the fans all desperately seeking debuts tonight? Because that was such a focus tonight. I mean, one of the things everybody was all up about was Sasha Banks was coming back. When we going to see that? I don't know, but people thought she was going to be coming back. I don't see it. I kept reading things about her going to AEW. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I don't even know if she's back from injury yet. The Men's Royal Rumble gave the story that we needed to go into. So Cody winning makes sense. Bayley going after Rhea Ripley, that's fine too. I actually think the Women's Royal Rumble match was much more entertaining and interesting because there were more things that came out of that than there was in the Men's Royal Rumble match. Because looking at what we have as the final four in both of those matches, Cody and CM Punk, two former AEW stars, right? They both competed pretty extensively on the opponent's company. They worked for Tony Khan, not that long ago. Cody was 2+ years ago. CM Punk was only 6 months ago. I mean, that's not good. The main event of Royal Rumble, we're relying on having two AEW guys. In essence, they're wrestling at the end of the night. Gunther gets knocked out. Drew gets knocked out. Those are two mainstays of the main roster. Gunther doesn't matter because he's IC champion. They just need to find an opponent for him, period. Or does he step forward and go after Seth? I mean, you could go there too. Like, Seth can have a number of opponents, and that's fine. We'll get him an opponent for WrestleMania. I'm not even worried about that part. For Roman, yeah. Now you see, can either be Rock or Cody. Gunther, whatever you want to do with that. There's quite a bit of a oversight, really. I mean, not really paying attention much to the fact that Kevin Owens lost to Logan Paul for the U.S. title. And the way he lost was in such a dopey babyface fashion. Okay, the heel Kevin Owens, you use the brass knuckles brought into the ring, and you throw them away. Why doesn't he throw them away? When he uses them, why doesn't he throw them out? I mean, damn, MJF does that all the time in AEW. He throws them away. We see everybody throw them away. What is Kevin Owens doing holding on to the brass knuckles? So no surprise that he, is caught with them, and they make the point of it. Okay, well, that's the way you got out of the match. Didn't feel really logical. You made Kevin Owens look stupid. Sami Zayn, by the way, is, tag team partner. He goes in number 30. He's a non-factor. Like, what happened to Kevin and Sami right now? Kevin, being brought up as a prop for Logan Paul. And Sami Zayn, yeah, he's got his deal with Drew McIntyre, but, really, he's been kind of, off the map. He went after Roman Reigns one time for the title and then nothing else. And then, meanwhile, your fatal four-way match of the night, as I thought. I mean, Randy Orton was the one person that I thought you could feasibly make something with. They all got their near falls. And listen, the matches were good. I'm not saying anything about that. But the results and the outcome of what we're left with. So you got 3 stars, in the upper mid card up against Roman Reigns. Because that's all you got. You had to put somebody up against them. You couldn't do another one-on-one. It should have been Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, but, it's fine. Instead, we get where AJ takes the pin. Poor AJ. He takes the pin here on Roman Reigns, and there we go. And we're back to where we are. So it's like, what are you going to do with him? AJ comes back from injury. He takes the pin. Randy doesn't get anything out of this. He's there. LA Knight. I don't know. Is it LA Knight and AJ Styles? Is that where we're going to go with that? Are we building anything to any matches in the mid-card from any of this that happened in the Royal Rumble tonight? Because I don't really feel like we've got much of that. Do you? Because maybe we don't feel that. Not much. No, but let's talk about the debuts. Let's talk about the debuts. Yeah. Naomi's back, and she comes back in the Women's Royal Rumble. So Trinity, after her year run in TNA, or formerly Impact, recognizing her as former TNA Knockouts champion. I love that. That made me smile. But then the shock of the night for me, yeah, Jade Cargill coming in, sure. But Jordynne Grace, is Scott D'Amore doing talent exchange work here? We let Jordynne Grace in for a good third of the show, and that Bianca Belair knocked her out. Like that's like a Mickie James appearance. Like what happened here? Jordynne Grace, and by the way, having her in the match, pretty commendable. I don't know what was the thought process of how she got herself in the match in the first place. Like, you know, obviously there's some former stars that are being a part of all this. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's one of those things where to see somebody from another organization, it could be a sign of things to come. Like, would TNA and the WWE work together? Would Scott D'Amore kind of use his platform to kind of help take a little bit of a rub, just like AEW did? Like, would that be something that would be possible? Very new thought process to this, but Jordynne Grace did look good out there. I mean, she fit right in. And for anyone to go and like bash and, beat up on TNA on a regular basis, I'm sorry. Remember, you have Naomi back out there. I don't know where she's going to fit into the deal, but they gave her a very long run in the match, which was great. Liv Morgan comes back and returns. So everything that was going to be thought about where she was going to stay around and still be important, that was good. And the women's Royal Rumble match, I love Nia Jax's performance in it. I mean, right now, she's such a monster heel. I'd want her to go after somebody. I don't know why Nia Jax can't be a champion right now. Regardless if you want to say that, she hurts people. Yeah, okay. But they brought her back anyway. So what are we going to say about that? Right now, it would be kind of nice to go ahead and see this come back together. By the way, for the record, when Michael Cole was talking about Cody Rhodes being the first back-to-back in 26 years, so Stone Cold Steve Austin did it in 1998. And, 97 and 98. Shawn Michaels in 95 and 96. Hulk Hogan 90 and 91. Right. But I'm impressed with Jordynne Grace being in this, powerhouse in the match. They put her over. And, of course, being in the match where she was, obviously, as a TNA star, that's fine. But I will tell you that, and I've been wanting to find the best way to explain this, but when I look at some of the names in the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches, you know who I'm going to talk about. I'm going to point out the ones that Triple H has put all this time and collateral in when they really dropped the development idea and they just went after some of these indie stars that they just thought maybe we're going to get something out of and do something with, right? And you go on and you bring them into the mix, and I'll tell you, some of these NXT black and gold stars, from 2018, 2019, all of that. I don't care how many times Mauro Ranallo had to yell somebody's name to get him over, or Nigel McGuinness going overly excited, or seeing them in War Games matches or ladder matches and seeing them just bust each other up. You know what? They did all that. It's like, I feel like, and I'm going to feel bad for saying this, but when they talk about Jeff Jarrett and all the times he cracked somebody over with a guitar, who was it that says he didn't draw a dime? It was, I got to look for the name, and he's passed away, by the way, but and it wasn't like he was any better, and that it wasn't any better either, but yeah. Mike Graham, that's right. Mike Graham saying, never drew a dime, broke 6,000 guitars. And I'm telling you, that's what I feel like right now. I feel like there's a number of stars when I look at who was in there. And by the way, very few eliminations, did not last very long on the lineup. But, you start off with Bayley, your eventual winner. No problem with that there. I just need to figure out, as she's now the winner going up against a champion, I mean, do you want her to go ahead and take on Io Shirai and there's a turning on the betrayal of Damage Control onto Bayley, right? Because of the whole Asian infusion here. Like, you could go that route. Her and Dakota Kai, persona non grata. And Bayley could go after Io Shirai. And you could give a great storyline to that. But if it's Bayley and Rhea Ripley, that's fine. But that's the storyline I'm looking to go and find out what they're going to do with that there. But all I got to tell you is just look at the names that came out and the response they got when they went in and when they got heaved over the ropes. Candice LeRae. No. Listen, I don't care. You can put the way out there and you can make so many kind of thoughts. You can put all these people together. Anybody that was in the way, non-factor, right? Dexter Lumis, non-factor. Indy Hartwell, non-factor. Candice LeRae, non-factor. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, are they wrestling? I forget if they're injured or not, but they weren't in the match. Weren't in the Rumble. Which was quite revealing, by the way. And look at the other names. Okay, let's see. So you said, like I said, Jordan Grace, that shocked people. And I'll tell you, when I heard the police sirens, I was like, wait a minute. It took me a minute because I was not thinking TNA mode. And then I heard that, first you hear the sirens and you're going, I was like, what, Jordan Grace? And you look at her, she's like, there she is. Big and built. By the way, Jordan Grace now in her current shape and her current look, I don't think they would have let her in when she was heavier. Like, it would have still been thinking like a Vince McMahon kind of thing. Yeah, they still got to look good when they come out. And there's only a few women that can be bigger and look a certain way. So like Piper Niven or Nia Jax. Even Nia Jax is in great shape now. She's in much better shape than she's ever been in her life. But that's the idea, right? When you see Jordan Grace now, she's stacked like a brick house. Like, she is, the bodybuilder. She's like in incredible shape. She and Jade Cargill kind of like they're matching heads on like the size and physique. Like, they both got it. And Jordan Grace looked great out there. I must say, I'm very proud of her, how she did out there. Asuka, well, she's a mainstay. Like, that's we're talking about the ones that were like, again, Mauro Ranallo was part of it, Nigel McGuinness, or if it was Vic Joseph out there, and it's like, you're saying to yourself, without the Undisputed Era, with all these other stars that went away over to AEW, that NXT Black and Gold roster, okay, with very few that have really turned around and made something for themselves, and their gimmick has gone over, okay? Whoever's been attached to Judgment Day got over. All right? And why did they get over? Because Damian Priest didn't necessarily get over with the Judgment Day as it is. Neither did Finn Balor returning back to the main roster. It's because Rhea Ripley was kind of like in her own kind of deal with My Brutality, the NXT persona. But the pairing with Dom, the Dirty Dom Mommy thing, Bonnie and Clyde thing, that works. They changed her character. They changed her altogether. Now she's like not even like the girl in the studs and the leather anymore. Now she's like this dominating woman that's like, that is the leader of the damn group. She's basically the leader of the damn Judgment Day. And then you had the part with R-Truth, which is hilarious, by the way. But it's too bad that R-Truth has to be a part of that. And of course, he definitely contributed to both matches tonight. Don't get me wrong. But my thing is that when you look at some of the mid-card stars that are in this match, in the women and the men, and you can just tell there's something here. And by the way, Nia Jax basically took most of them out, right? And so let's just look at this, all right? Shotzi, Xia Li, Piper Niven, Katana Chance, Ivy Nile. I mean, the writing's there. She was taking out all the names that mean nothing here. There's like nothing here to it, okay? Which is quite revealing when you look at it. Alba Fire, no. In a way I see it because he did change her gimmick from what she was, in NXT Europe, right, or UK. That's fine. So like they have that, and the Valhalla character, yeah. they're changing them, but they're not much off of where they were before. Like, it's just not much for Kelly Ray or for Sarah Logan. There's just not much. I mean, they might have changed the gimmicks out, but like, there's nothing. It wasn't anything to a gimmick that just made an appeal. Like, it's just kind of like there. Xia Li, no real change of who she is. Chelsea Green, she's just happy to be there, right? She's just happy to be a part of the roster. She's not worried about anything else. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. I mean, listen, I know that the people like them, and they got the whole thing with the, with they shoot out in the crowd and all this, like the whole nightclub kind of thing. Yeah, it doesn't work. None of these stars I just mentioned right now are over. Where this major crowd, 48,000 at Tropicana Field, was like all over it. They cheered Jordan Grace bigger than all those other stars I just mentioned. More of a response to Candice LeRae than a Candice LeRae or Indy Hartwell or Ivy Now or Katana Chance or Tegan Knox or Kaden Carter or Piper Niven or Xia Li or Shotzi or Alba Fire or Valhalla. Like, there isn't. Or Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark, okay, you put her up there with Trish Stratus. It did nothing for her. It did nothing. And now, she's, pairing up with Shayna Baszler. All right. And another one, you dropped the ball on with Shayna Baszler. Like, with Shayna Baszler, you had her and Nia Jax together as a team, and they broke off. And they lost. They missed on that. They missed on Shayna Baszler. Now, her and Ronda Rousey, well, Ronda goes away. I'm like, there's the part too. Like, Shayna was kind of like paired up with her too. And now Shayna's been like on her own. It's like, okay, what happens? Submission Magician, nothing. You dropped the ball with Shayna Baszler. Like, we should have had a match with her and Ronda before they wrapped it up, but like, they didn't. And then you look at the stars that they have that are standing out. Well, they're the ones that they kept towards the end. Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton. Those are the two stars right now that you have. And by the way, when Toxic Attraction has to break up, right? Could you imagine? I mean, seriously, could you imagine if Toxic Attraction were still together right now after all that happened, and there wouldn't have been all that crap that went on with, Mandy Rose having to leave the group? Like, that was set to go. Like, did you really have to go ahead and go after her and just like, listen, stop doing that? But like, they just let her go. They made a mistake with Toxic Attraction. Such an over group in NXT. And it would have helped Gigi Dolan. And it would have helped JC Jane. Because they've been kind of like lost without her. Like, Mandy Rose should be on that main roster right now in one of these and holding one of those belts. Like, honestly, like, I get Rhea Ripley where she's holding the belt, but I mean, Mandy Rose should be the one that's holding the belt that, Io Shirai's holding. That is, if things would have worked out right, Mandy Rose should have stayed around, and she should have been on that main roster, and she should have come in with Toxic Attraction and be a champion right now. But she's not. But that's a mistake. But that was also before everybody else. Like, it's in the same line of mistakes that happened when Naomi and Sasha Banks were let go. Because of all the things they did wrong to them. Right? And funny, Mandy Rose never went anywhere else. She's like, okay, she's off to her own things. That's it. Doesn't matter. So Roxanne Perez, for whatever reason, she stands away from it because she's got such a great pedigree, being so young and so damn talented. And I don't think they've really screwed up too much with her. And you know what kind of helps? Booker T being in a commentary over there and being the one that helped to train her initially. So, like, there are people realizing Roxanne Perez, you can't screw her up. You can't screw her up. So she goes to Vengeance, next week? And she'll win the belt back off of Laya Valkyria? Good. But eventually, after WrestleMania, Roxanne Perez should move up to the main roster. She doesn't even need in NXT right now. She needs to move on up. Personally, I think of that. As for Jade Cargill, they gave her an appearance here. I don't know if you bring her back out again and she works anywhere. If she goes to NXT or whatever you do. As long as Roxanne and Lyra are kind of facing each other for the women's title, I mean, Jade doesn't go there, and Jade doesn't move over to the main roster yet. I don't know what you'd have her do here. I don't know if she stays in or what. But, I mean, you don't want to attach her with somebody else. I get that part. Fine. But what do you do with her? That's the part I don't understand. Like, I don't think you need to go and completely keep Jade Cargill off the television altogether. I don't think that was a great idea. Because she's been working pretty consistently on AEW. She was a world champion there. Why don't you take advantage of that? I mean, is she really that green? Like, you could have done what AEW did where they kind of like hid the flaws that she might have or hid some of her weaknesses and just give her the short matches. Like, we couldn't have done that. That's the part I don't get. I mean, Jade Cargill, this is going to have to go to that main roster. She's going to have to run through the roster, right? You want to put her on Raw eventually, and then you know what? All those names that Nia Jax eliminated, those are all the girls that she's going to eliminate. Like, she's just going to run through the whole table. Go through Natalya, go through Naomi, go through whoever, and it's like, okay. And then eventually work her way up. Like, that's what she's going to have to be. Jade Cargill is going to have to be the domineering, like, no doubt about it, move her up. Now, the other thing I also must say is that Jade Cargill without the baddies, yeah, that's tough too. You might not like Smart Mark Sterling. You might not like, Layla Gray or, Kiera Hogan and all those being a part of this. But I thought that the entourage worked well for Jade Cargill. I thought the whole presentation was great for her. They're being very cautious with Jade Cargill right now. They're just like, this is where the company's like so afraid, like, man, we can't screw up somebody that's fresh and brand new that Vince did not screw up. And the recycle bin projects, like all these reconstruction projects we're doing right now, like Karrion Kross, you put him in the match with the men's Royal Rumble, and it's like, there's so much there. By the way, none of his compadres in there. No Authors of Pain. So what do you do with that? By the way, good to see Liv Morgan back. I don't know where she comes into this, but, obviously she's going to be put back into the mix of doing something very important with her. And Tiffany Stratton, yeah, she's destined to be main roster anyway. You know why? Because she's got the look. She looks like she looks like she's supposed to be on Raw or SmackDown. She's not meant to be on NXT anymore. She's, she's grown her britches a little bit enough that right now you need her on one of those other two shows. Like, there's no reason Tiffany Stratton needs to stay down in NXT. She's been there. She's as good as she's going to get in terms of her talent, in terms of what she's going to do in promos. I just think you take Tiffany Stratton, you put her up to the main roster, and then you do something with her and adjust her. Like, you already got the gimmick set. Now you need to intersperse her into something. I don't know what that is. As like in a way you might make her not a love interest, but like kind of friend zoning some other wrestler. And then she's like, manipulating and just being a pure heel and then just working your way up. Like right now, Mean Girls just came out. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of that, huh? Let me tell you something. It's not a bad idea. Imagine if Tiffany Stratton was leading a set of Mean Girls, not like Toxic Attraction, but like a different set. But you take the other blondes that they have in the group, like, you take an Ivy Now and a Candice LeRae, and maybe somehow you get a Maxine Dupree, and you get those out there. I mean, wouldn't that be a good idea? Right? Like, couldn't we go that route and see if we can, like, get something where, when we can get them together and we can figure something out. The plastics, like, they can be their own plastics. That's not a bad idea. You could do something with that and then just build it up. Like, I mean, seriously, a real life male girl, we've done that before. How about we do that now? A little bit of creative license here. That's not a bad idea. And then you could do something with some of these other stars to attach them to something. Meanwhile, Becky Lynch had a good appearance out there. I thought she was going to win, but, how are we going to get her and Rhea Ripley together? If there was a challenge for that, I don't know. But they went with what they were going to go with. Okay, fine. I just wish there was more to go and do here to, help that women's roster. Because, like, seriously, of the names you had up there in this main roster on the women's side, you're dealt with the fact that Naomi, Bayley, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Bianca Belair. And Bianca Belair had a really great run out there, by the way. It was really good. But also she's going to have that reality show with Montez Ford. That whole deal is going to probably keep her away from the spotlight quite a bit. Promoting that on Hulu, so most likely. And then I look at the other names. Zelina Vega, her attachment with LWO is whatever. But Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, and Liv Morgan, like, that's really what your basis of the main roster of female talent that you have right now that are like, they're all established. And the other names that you have from within that NXT Black and Gold, we got to do something with. So like Roxanne Perez, Tiffany Stratton, they come from the Rainbow period. So, they're a chance to go and come in here. They haven't been tarnished. They haven't been put into that main roster and screwed up. So Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Roxanne Perez all have a chance with a fresh slate to come in here and do something with. But Triple H, damn man, you got to do something here. There's got to be some significant gambles on gimmick to get these stars over. Because listen, you give me Roxanne Perez, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, anywhere else, give me them in AEW. Okay, I think it would do fine. You could put them in TNA, they'd be great. I mean, any other wrestling organization. But with WWE, are they willing to go and develop some newer stars and get them a rise? Or does it have to be just the older guard? That's all that Triple H is going to trust. I mean, if I wanted that kind of booking, let's just bring back Kevin Nash. Like he booked WCW for like a little bit. For a spell, a cup of coffee, right? Like if I wanted that kind of booking where there's all the old guys staying up there, then let's just bring back Bill Watts and Kevin Sullivan, all right? Like seriously. Let's go and bring back Dutch Mantel and Jeff Jarrett. Let's go. No, Jeff Jarrett and Dutch Mantel actually did like go on for younger talent. But let me put it like this: the creativity that you could be using right now. Imagine whenever Roman Reigns does take time off. What do you do with Paul Heyman? Do you keep him with Solo Sikoa? Because what really needs to be happening right now, especially on the main roster for the TV side, we don't need these guys in here, but we need the kind of creativity that a Paul Heyman and a Vince Russo would put. Just saying, kind of out there. And I was trying to think back when Paul Heyman was executive director along with Eric Bischoff, who was like, AWOL, right? But remember, Paul Heyman as the executive director of Raw, executive producer. Remember who was doing that? And I remember he had that part where he was doing his part and, for a while he did have a few things that were kind of interesting, right? When he was doing the part, being an executive producer again, something for me felt good. And then I don't know, it's like, it was when Paul Heyman was still doing things and still being part of the creative storyline outside of Brock Lesnar and being the advocate, and before he became the special counsel for Roman Reigns. Like, I like the stuff when he had Lashley in a love triangle with Russo and Lana. I thought that stuff was funny. I thought Maria and Mike Kanellis was great. Like, some of that stuff was over the top and kind of a bit schlocky, but I don't care. It was interesting. It got my interest. And Liv Morgan being part of it. Like, I mean, yeah. And you started bringing some younger stars into the mix. Yeah, that's fine. Was it perfect? No, but at least we were going somewhere with it. And I thought it wasn't that bad. And so then you had that going on. I was like, all right, well, there was not much else after that. I was like, all right. But when you look at what's happening here, that's the women's side. Let's go to the men's side. Let's move forward to that. Like I said, there's not much to say about LA Knight coming out there, or AJ Styles or Randy Orton, and who was going to be able to go and possibly beat Roman Reigns. No, it was not a factor. Roman was going to win. Predictable by far. You might have thought maybe Paul, Randy Orton could have had a chance, but no, they were going to let that happen. Let's look at the names over on the men's Royal Rumble side. So you go with Jimmy and Jay. You just tease it. We didn't get much out of them, right? You just kind of like put it in there. Okay. The Pat McAfee in and out. I didn't like that too much, but like, do something with him. They brought him in for commentary. He was fine together with Graves and Cole. That was a nice fresh take. I like that. Guess it's just the one-off. I don't think he's be coming back. I mean, obviously he has his ESPN show and he's pretty busy with that. So, Andrade returns. And to me, Andrade coming in, it didn't feel like it was much of anything. I mean, he was out there, right? But it didn't make much of a difference to me. Like, okay, he's there, and it's like, I look at what happened, and like Bronson Reed, another guy, like, what is it, man? TNA worked with him as Jonah, and it's like Bronson Reed comes back, and it's nothing. Because he also left so early from TNA, and it wasn't like he worked anywhere else. So he was just kind of like left in the weeds. And unfortunately, Bronson Reed got bigger. Like he's got a weight thing right now. He's not in the current shape right now because, if Vince were over there, Bronson Reed would be out and having to lose like 50 to 100 pounds. That's what would happen. Just like with anybody else. But Bronson Reed's big heavyweight, but you can see he's just doesn't have a full reign out there where he's going to be like really special. They've had him and it doesn't really work. Carmelo Hayes, non-factor. You know what the problem is? Carmelo Hayes, yeah, he was champion, right? Or now he's going to go after the championship again, right? No, he's not even. Because he got overshadowed by his own stooge, Trick Williams. Trick Williams overshadows Carmelo Hayes. You know why? Because Trick Williams is playing his best Terrence Howard version of Hustle and Flow from 2004. I said, whoop that Trick. That's it. Trick Williams, he's Terrence Howard from Hustle and Flow. I mean, good for the audience. They don't know what the damn movie is, but I remember watching it. So whoop that Trick. Oh, it's brand new. No, it's 20 years old. No, it's already done. And, he wasn't part of this. Carmelo Hayes, you think he's going to make any much of a difference when he comes up to the main roster? No. I mean, Carmelo Hayes, he's very talented, but they got to make a real move on him, and they just can't have him be the Carmelo Hayes that comes right in from NXT into there. You have to do something more. Unfortunately, what Vince used to do to go and start making significant changes to the people that would come in, it wasn't just like, okay, keep the name, sure, but you got to do more and develop much more depth to these characters when you bring them up from NXT. Carmelo Hayes, he's just going to come out flat. And this crowd, they might be some people that'll be smart enough to remember him, and they'll know what it is, and they'll cheer. But like honestly, if he's not in the Performance Center, he's not going to get the kind of cheers you would expect. And by the way, they were in Tampa tonight. You would think with the NXT crowd that would probably be around there, they would probably get a little bit more of a buzz, but they didn't. Nope, that main roster, they don't care. They don't care about him. They didn't care about Grayson Waller. You can put Grayson Waller out there as much as you want. He's not going to draw either. He'll get over in Australia. Oh, yeah. Perth. Oh, yeah. And I think that Grayson Waller has much more character and much more to him because when I heard him in interviews, there's much more to him. And there's no doubt about that. But they're pigeonholing him. Like he's just this here with the Grayson Waller effect. It doesn't work. He's just an Australian, like, facsimile of The Miz, and not even a good one. Grayson Waller's just there. And then you tap Austin Theory to go along with him. You're putting them together. That's a mistake. You're bringing Austin Theory down by pairing them together. So Grayson Waller not working here either. Andrade was a non-factor. I mean, to me, I didn't feel like, okay, the interest was nice, but okay, he wants to be there. I don't think he's going to do much more business than he did in AEW, or I mean, I think he would have just done better still working in AAA, but he doesn't. You know, he wants to go back and he wants to work where his wife is. Okay. Shinsuke Nakamura, even after they gave him the whole deal going after Cody and going after Seth Rollins, the second part of last year, Cody already got his number before in a match, and then Cody eliminates him anyway. So Shinsuke, like all that buildup they gave to him to be like this monster heel for a while, threw it away. It doesn't matter now. But thanks for your help, Shinsuke. Good. And the reason he can still be somewhat important is because we all remember what he was in New Japan. Okay? Give that guy a chance to be in somewhere else. But I mean, if he's making money over here, he's doing fine. You know, he'll stay where he's at. Santos Escobar, the whole build up for him after, you know, him and Rey Mysterio have the falling out in the LWO. Has he really felt like anything somewhat special? No. Him and Carlito. And Carlito eliminates him. Santos Escobar, where's the follow through? Obviously, if people feel like, you know, okay, he loses to LA Knight in that U.S. title tournament. And then he doesn't win the U.S. title. And so Santos Escobar, he's this heel. You turn him heel and he's become nothing. No LWO on his back. Nothing else to work with for him anyway. Karrion Kross, you know, he's just out there. And Bobby Lashley, also not a factor now that he does this group of the Pride. Him and, you know, Street Profits. Not much affected them either. They're just kind of there. You know, I mean, so many that they had out here that just also went away quickly. We see Omos finally coming back. And by the way, Omos, he didn't stink it up. But you know what? You need that guy to be out there. Like, why are you wasting him being back in the back? Like, you need to have him out there working with matches. Like, I mean, people, you don't might not like it, but Omos, we need a big guy out there. He needs to be on hand. So Omos, he's got the look, he's got everything. Get him out there and go work. Let's go. When you look at the roster they had that came out, you know, to the middle part of that match, like, honestly, take me to like right after Cody comes in. Bronson Reed, Kofi Kingston, Gunther was a big deal, of course. Ivar and Braun Breaker's out here, and I'm like, you know, so you're going to put them in a tag team. It's like, I guess they have to go the route the same way that Scott Steiner did. Because Scott Steiner or, you know, Rick Steiner, they never start off as singles. Well, you don't have another Steiner, and I'm sorry, Baron Corbin's not another Steiner. So what are we doing here? Braun Breaker should have been an easy win for him to just become like another, just like Scott Steiner. It should have just been easy to do that, but it wasn't. They're missing on him too. Because you need to develop Braun Breaker to be something more. Did you need to go with spiked hair and put on like the chain vest and all that? No. You don't have to do the freaks in the house, you know. You don't have to be big Papa Pump again. No, we don't need that. Okay, but Braun Breaker could be something. You got to give him something more. There's got to be more depth to this character, more dimensions to this character. He is one-dimensional. As for many of these other characters. And you just can't get them out there, oh, they're just real wrestlers. They're just going to like get out there. By the way, no Cameron Grimes. Where is he at? Anybody? I mean, he's supposed to be out there, right? He's not. No Chad Gable, no Otis. Alpha Academy, we had Maxine Dupree in her match. But the other two were new apart. JD McDonough takes a space because he's part of Judgment Day. Otherwise, what is he? I know he's a good wrestler. I know he's like whatever, but like there's not much more to him. JD McDonough, you know, he's in the same boat as Ilya Dragunov. Whenever do you think that Ilya Dragunov is going to make up to that main roster? Do you see what's going to happen to him? Like, put him out there against Omos. Are we going to believe that that 5'6", 5'7" guy, skinny like that, he's going to like overpower everybody and he's going to dominate? Do we really think that's going to happen? No. It wasn't until the very end that we started seeing a few more names that were like, okay, we're trying to get somewhere. Miz and Damian Priest, CM Punk. Ricochet's been like a non-factor for a long time. Drew McIntyre gets brought in. Well, that's important. And that's it. It's like, okay, what else is next? And to think about it, for the U.S. title, the fact that Kevin Owens is the one that wins and the way he loses going out of that, remember the build of that one number one contender tournament, right? And all those names they had in there. Dragon Lee, non-factor. Santos Escobar, Bobby Lashley, Karrion Kross, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory. Non-factors right now. Right? Like Bobby Lashley's a mainstay. You could put him up there and be doing a lot of different things, but they're not. They're just not. I don't know. Well, Final Testament against the Pride. Yeah, okay. A lot missing here. There's not a whole lot of drama. There's not a whole lot of suspense. There's not a whole lot of dimension or depth in a lot of people in this main roster in this middle of the card. Meanwhile, you think about who are the people that are at the very top of the main event? They're all people that Vince pegged and had them at the very top, right? LA Knight is a bit of a side note, but, you know, he had quite a career coming in. Enough to make him familiar. But when you think about like having that full-fledged roster of talent, and you're going to go to Perth and Saudi Arabia and Paris and Germany and all these other places, right? I mean, you want to go and keep putting out where there's CM Punk and Cody and Drew and Seth and yeah, okay. But it's a lot of those people that are that main roster, but that second level of talent, the ones that come up for the future. Hey man, God forbid some of these guys don't get hurt and injured on the way. And they might not be working 300 days a week, but they're still working a lot, especially through WrestleMania. I'm just saying, man. I look at that, I'm just saying to myself, well, there's a lot there to go and look at. That's all I'm going to say about it. There's so much more to go and talk about when it comes to what happened to the Royal Rumble tonight, but I know you're going to be listening to a lot of other recaps throughout the day and tomorrow and all this week to get your take on it. And of course, I'll have my say of what's going to happen after the Royal Rumble on Raw Monday night. I'll see what comes from that. But I think that's all I'm going to go and just say about that. We're going to just leave it all there. So that's the show. Thanks for listening in. Finding the program as you do at kingofpodcasts.com. And of course, I got a YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. And feel free to watch my episodes on the channel when they're up there. You can find the link to it also at kingofpodcasts.com. And also, I'm on social media. X, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, among others, and Instagram at King of Podcasts. So until next time, remember that you need to go and come back for another Wrestling Through podcast because wrestling needs us.